So we are looking at a man who compares himself to the biblical Moses, Steve Jobs, and Michael Corleone from The Godfather, all in the exact same breath.
Yeah, it's quite a list.
Right. Today, we are taking a massive stack of, well, really wild raw tape to figure out how a billionaire who is actively trying to design water-powered monasteries is simultaneously and quite intentionally burning his entire world to the ground.
I mean, it is a staggering amount of visual and audio data. We've got raw audio from, Joe Rogan, Drink Champs, DJ Academic, Zane Lowe, and a very surreal music video from his March 2026 album, Bully.
And what you find when you sift through all of it is a deeply complex psychology. You have this absolute utopian idealism sitting right alongside scorched earth provocation.
Exactly. And the fascinating part is that these two extremes don't just happen to exist in the same person. They actually fuel each other.
But just a quick heads up for you listening before we get into the thick of this deep dive. The tape we are digging into today goes into some extremely dark, highly controversial political and social territory.
Yeah, we're talking deeply charged claims about race, religion, abortion, and some very aggressive conspiracy theories.
Right, and we want to be crystal clear here. We aren't here to validate, endorse, or take sides on any of this rhetoric.
Not at all. Our mission today is simply to take it apart and look at the blueprints of how this guy's mind works, purely based on his own words.
Yeah.
We are operating as impartial observers of a very chaotic architectural plan.
Let's actually start with that architecture because the visual world he builds is like the clearest window into his current mindset.
Yeah.
Look at the music video for the song Father that dropped this past Sunday.
Yeah, directed by his wife, Bianca Censori, who actually has a formal background in architecture. She builds this space using what she calls a spatial language mirroring the logic of dreams.
It's set inside a church, but it feels super claustrophobic. The walls are this pastoral, dark, green, gray.
It's incredibly dense symbolism, honestly. Every frame is a critique of modern culture. Like, on one side of this moody church, you have a man in a cream suit doing magic tricks for a plastic mannequin.
Which is such a weird visual.
Right, but the message there is fairly transparent. He views modern men as wasting their wealth, performing tricks for transactional relationships with women who are entirely artificial. It's a critique of a society built on a facade.
Which is, pretty rich coming from a guy deeply embedded in celebrity culture, but we'll get to that later. The imagery just gets more intense from there.
Oh, absolutely. Right behind the magic trick, a sleeping nun is suddenly and violently arrested by two police officers. You're juxtaposing the ultimate symbol of purity and divine obedience with sudden criminality.
And layered over all of this is a heavy emphasis on religious and racial identity, right? The choir is specifically composed of 5 black men.
And that number is not an accident. In Christian theology, 5 is the number of grace. It represents the 5 offerings to God, the 5 books of the law, the 5 wounds of Christ. He is saturating the visual field with divine authority. Yeah, you also have a baby dressed in blue, symbolizing heavenly grace, and a priest walking the aisle swinging a thurible, dispersing incense to cleanse the space. He is setting the stage for a purification ritual.
But the ritual goes completely sideways. Halfway through this dream logic, 2 astronauts march into the church, they grab the artist, pull off his mask, and reveal that he is actually an alien.
It's such a striking visual metaphor for how he views his current outcast status. He literally sees himself as an extraterrestrial, a being that polite society simply cannot comprehend because he refuses to operate by their gravitational rules.
And the sequence right after that reveal is crazy. The astronauts drag this uncontrollable alien visionary away, and who immediately walks in to replace him.
Travis Scott.
Right. And the congregation just blindly stands up and follows Travis Scott out of the church, completely ignoring a baker who drops a totally fake plastic cake on the floor.
I mean, the bitterness in that metaphor is palpable. Travis represents the compliant protege. The industry removes the maverick they can't control and slots in a safer, more manageable version. And the masses just accept the artificial substitute, the fake cake, without a second thought.
And he views the music industry as an assembly line that punishes true innovation, which is why he is no longer satisfied with just designing sneakers or producing albums. He wants to redesign the physical world.
Exactly. In the Joe Rogan tape, he isn't speaking metaphorically when he talks about building a 200,000-seat circular stadium, specifically so a 100,000-person gospel choir can train like Olympic athletes. He is entirely serious.
I was struck by the sheer scale of his alternative reality. He's drawing up plans for fully sustainable cities and monasteries, and he insists they be powered by water in these elaborate steam mirror
Yeah,
systems.
and he explicitly bans solar panels from his blueprints, not for environmental reasons, but because he associates solar power with Thomas Edison.
Wait, why Thomas Edison?
Because Edison represents the ruthless, capitalist businessman who steals ideas and commercializes them. Instead, our subject strictly aligns himself with Nikola Tesla's vision of alternating current.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Tesla is the ultimate historical archetype of the brilliant, pure visionary who was misunderstood, exploited by gatekeepers, and ultimately died isolated and alone. He sees himself entirely in Tesla's image.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit, because it reminds me of something he said in the Zane Lowe interview. He was trying to describe the ultimate feeling of creation, and he compared it to unboxing a fresh pair of Jordans, or the packaging of an iPhone 5.
Right, the ultimate tactile experience.
Exactly. It really sounds like he approaches designing human civilization the exact same way he approaches a product launch. Is he just treating human society like an enormous unboxing video?
He absolutely views himself as a spatial engineer for humanity. If we connect this to the bigger picture, he literally compares his ambitions to Victor Gruen.
The shopping mall guy.
Exactly. Gruen was the architect who invented the concept of the shopping mall. But his original vision wasn't just a place to buy shoes. He envisioned fully utopian, self-sustaining community hubs with medical centers and schools.
Oh, and then capitalism got a hold of it.
Right, capitalism stripped that utopian vision down to just retail stores. Our subject believes the entire modern world has been corrupted by those same greedy gatekeepers. To fix it, he believes civilization doesn't need a politician, it needs a master designer.
But his desire to build a new world is entirely fueled by his absolute hatred of the current one. He feels like he is trapped in a matrix of exploitation.
Just look at his view of the music industry. He doesn't just think record contracts are unfair, he views them as a literal assault. He controversially compared the music industry to the Me Too movement, claiming that artists are routinely, to use his word, raped by the fine print of their contracts.
And the math he presents to justify this feeling of imprisonment is wild. He claims to have a net worth of $5 billion, yet his actual music catalog, his life's work, loses him $4 million a year due to the structure of his deals.
Yeah, he doesn't see record labels or distribution partners as helpful infrastructure at all. He sees them as wardens.
And that profound sense of being imprisoned bleeds directly into how he views the medical field. The Rogan interview sheds so much light on his 2016 hospitalization.
It really does. He claims he was hospitalized simply because he was exhausted and speaking his truth. When doctors tried to medicate him, he refused the first pill because it caused weight gain.
Then they offered him an alternative, what he called a silver bullet, and he refused that too.
Right, he refused it because he believed it was a chemical leash. He said the medication grayed over his eyes and sedated the superhero inside of him. This isn't just about personal health for him, it's a massive conspiracy.
Yeah, he firmly believes society over-medicates its citizens, even pointing to fluoride in toothpaste as a deliberate, systematic method to sever humanity's connection to God and keep the population docile.
Which brings us to the psychological framework that drives literally everything he does, the missing banister theory.
Oh, man. I find this concept absolutely fascinating.
It really is the skeleton key to understanding his behavior. The theory goes like this. If you draw a straight line on the ground and ask someone to walk it, they can do it perfectly. It's effortless.
Sure.
But if you take that exact same line and suspend it 20 stories in the air with no banister and no safety net, the sheer terror of falling will paralyze you. And the fear itself will actually cause you to fall.
Right, and he claims his absolute faith in God completely removes his fear.
Yeah.
He's walking 20 stories up, but because he isn't afraid of public humiliation or bankruptcy or being canceled, the missing banister doesn't matter. So what does this all mean for his day-to-day life? I mean, gravity still exists. You can't just faith your way out of a 20-story drop. If he refuses all guardrails and banisters, doesn't that inherently lead to massive crashes?
Well, that is the ultimate double-edged sword of his genius. Operating without a banister is exactly what allowed him to revolutionize industries. Standard business logic says you don't remove the laces from a sneaker, but he did it with Yeezys and created a billion-dollar empire.
Right. It gave him the sheer audacity to negotiate massive corporate takeovers of Gap and Adidas without initially even sitting on their boards.
Exactly. But the dark side of walking the wire without a banister is a consuming, suffocating paranoia. When you operate outside of all normal rules, you begin to suspect that everyone who tries to offer you a safety net Record executives, doctors, even your closest friends are actually agents of the system trying to control or sedate you.
And when you feel like everyone is trying to control you, your defense mechanism is to attack. Moving from his internal mindset to his external actions, his lack of fear translates into highly aggressive, deeply controversial provocations.
He tests the boundaries of the systems he hates by purposely being as radioactive as possible. And this is where we need to reiterate to you, the listener, that we are shifting into the highly controversial political and social rhetoric found in his Drink Champs and DJ Academics appearances.
Yeah, again, we are examining the mechanics of this rhetoric, not endorsing it. So let's look at how he weaponizes shock value.
Right. In the academic stream, he calmly discusses wearing a black KKK leather outfit and a swastika chain. When challenged, he claims he isn't doing this to promote violence.
He says he is using that horrific imagery as a deliberate magnet to trigger outrage. He wants to force society to overreact because he believes that overreaction exposes a controlling hidden hand in the media.
It's provocation as a stress test. We saw the exact same tactic with the White Lives Matter shirts. He didn't just make them. He specifically took the designs to Dov Charney, the founder of American Apparel and LA Apparel.
And when Charney, who happens to be Jewish, refused to release the shirts, our subject didn't see it as a simple business disagreement.
Not at all. Instead, the refusal instantly validated his massive persecution complex. It became proof that his artistic voice was being censored by a specific demographic.
Which bleeds directly into the intense anti-Semitic claims littered throughout these sources. He leans heavily into historical tropes, claiming that Jewish people control the media, the banks, and the music industry.
Yeah, he specifically points to his severed relationship with JP Morgan Chase and blames a Jewish media cabal for canceling his 4 stadium shows at SoFi and having him removed from the Grammys.
And his defense against the charge of anti-Semitism is this wild theological loophole. He states he cannot be anti-Semitic because black people are the true Jews, the blood of Christ, and the 12 lost tribes of Israel.
It's a rhetorical shield that allows him to launch these attacks without accepting the label of a bigot. And his political attacks operate on the same extreme frequency.
Oh, definitely. He states plainly that he is running for president, genuinely viewing himself as the leader of the free world.
He goes after the political left with a vengeance, stating Vice President Kamala Harris is there never again. He also takes his anti-medical establishment paranoia to the absolute limit.
Right, he controversially compares Planned Parenthood to the Holocaust. He claims that 1,000 black children are aborted daily in America as a deliberate, orchestrated form of eugenics and population control.
The rhetoric is designed to be catastrophic. He is actively trying to break the systems of polite society by crossing every single red line he can find. He wants to be uncancelable through sheer volume of offense.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. I struggle to reconcile this duality. You listen to him on Joe Rogan, and he sounds like a gentle utopian architect.
He really does.
He's talking about world peace, loving everyone, and redesigning orphanages to look like Disney World, so expecting mothers have a joyful plan A.
Right.
But then you put on Drink Champs, and he is abrasive, furious, and actively trying to inflict pain. How can a guy building water-powered monasteries also be trying to burn down the social fabric of the country? How do these two extremes exist in the same person?
What's fascinating here is you have to look at how he perceives his own divinity. He literally states in the tape, I am the closest thing to God on earth.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you look at the Old Testament, the God of the Bible is both the loving, utopian creator who builds the Garden of Eden and the wrathful, jealous deity who sends plagues and floods to destroy the wicked. He has internalized both of those roles.
That makes a terrifying kind of sense.
He uses provocation intentionally as a plague. He wants to administer pain to his enemies to make the system hurt exactly the way he feels the system has hurt him.
And that wrath isn't just directed at abstract systems like the media or banks, it is heavily directed at his own inner circle. This brings us to what he calls his Godfather era.
Oh yeah. He feels profoundly betrayed by the celebrity class, especially the people he helped elevate. He calls out the late Virgil Abloh, essentially accusing Abloh of selling out.
Right. He views Abloh taking the artistic director job at Louis Vuitton as capitulating to a corporate conglomerate rather than staying an independent rebel.
There is an intense, simmering jealousy toward his peers, too. He openly stews over Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Even while admitting Drake is the greatest rapper ever, he is furious that Kendrick was featured on the Cardi B album instead of him.
He recounts that Cardi B's slight with so much bitterness. To quote the source directly, he feels he was cast aside for faggot-ass trap shit, and his grievance list just goes on.
It really does.
Yeah.
He claims Travis Scott took his songs from the Wyoming recording sessions, scrubbed his vocals, and replaced them with other artists without so much as a phone call.
But the absolute white-hot core of his current rage, the thing that triggers his most defensive, aggressive posture, stems from his children.
Yeah, this is where the war gets incredibly personal. He claims he doesn't own the name and likeness rights to his own kids.
He unleashes on his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, and the entire Kardashian family for putting his daughter on a Cardi B song and for featuring his children in Hulu advertisements.
To him, this isn't just co-parenting friction. He views it as his children being drafted into the exact exploitative Hollywood matrix he is trying to escape.
He even brings up Pete Davidson joking about having sex by a fireplace to honor a Zionist grandmother. He doesn't see that as just a comedian being edgy. He takes it as a direct, calculated taunt aimed at his Christian family values.
It all feeds into his Messiah complex. He explicitly states he is done being the vulnerable pink polo rapper with a backpack. He now views himself as Moses, trying to free his people from industry pharaohs.
Or as Michael Corleone, the ruthless, ice-tasted mafia boss from The Godfather dealing with traitors in the family. He mentions that he and Puff Daddy even discussed pooling their billions to buy their own commercial bank, purely to circumvent the financial systems they believe are holding them down.
Ah, yes, the deeply spiritual pursuit of buying a commercial bank.
Right, but this raises a massive logical flaw for me.
What's that?
If he truly claims to have the absolute best taste in the world, and his ultimate stated goal is to build a beautiful utopia for humanity, why does he actively torch every single bridge that could actually help him build it?
Because in his mind, any compromise is a form of slavery. If we connect this back to his views on medical sedation and record contracts, he believes that true intelligence requires breaking completely out of the cocoon of industry control.
So it's all or nothing.
Exactly. He would much rather be completely isolated, standing alone on a hill as a maverick, than be a compliant billionaire taking marching orders from a board of directors.
So, bringing all these threads together, we've dug through a massive stack of sources today that reveal an artist operating in a state of total war.
A multi-front war, really.
Exactly. He sees himself as a superhero fighting the music industry, the medical establishment, his former friends, and basic societal norms. He is attempting to design utopian cities powered by steam mirrors while simultaneously using the most alienating, toxic rhetoric imaginable to burn down the systems around him.
It leaves us with a profound paradox, and it's a final thought I want you, the listener, to mull over long after this tape stops playing. History is absolutely full of figures who changed the world simply because they refused to accept reality as it was presented to them.
Right, the missing banister theory is real. If you remove fear, you can achieve the impossible.
But if your creative genius requires a complete rejection of all social guardrails, fear, and conventional logic, does that visionary mindset inevitably doom you to complete isolation? Can you truly build a utopia for humanity if you are entirely, purposefully disconnected from the reality that the rest of humanity actually lives in?
It's the tragic flaw of walking the wire without the banister. You might not fall, but you are guaranteed to walk it completely alone. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.